This video is all about resolution. I want to point out the fact that I have downloaded this image from the internet, so right now I'm not really sure how big it is. I have some clues. I know at the bottom of my image it says the document size is 468 kilobytes, but that doesn't really tell me a lot about how big it's going to be whenever I print it, or how big it's going to be if I were to use it on the web, so I need some more detailed information. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my rulers, and the shortcut for that is Command R. So if you'll notice, Command R is toggling the rulers off and on. So I can look at my rulers and it'll tell me that my image is about 1.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. So that does give me some clues, but I'm not really sure yet exactly what this image contains. So let's go ahead and look at another clue. Over here I have in my toolbox, I've selected the zoom tool, and the shortcut for that is Z, so I can hit Z on my keyboard and that'll automatically bring that up. And at the top, the zoom tool is going to give me these options. I have print size, fill screen, fit screen, and actual pixels. These are pretty useful to give me a relative idea of how this image is going to look. So let's look at print size. When I click on print size, you can see how big this image has suddenly become. Obviously, it's a lot smaller. So, and that makes sense because print size is going to be at least 300 pixels per inch. So if I had this at screen size, which I did before, obviously the image is going to get a lot bigger because the screen resolution is probably something like 150 pixels per inch, or even something like 96. So. And we'll find out specifically in a minute what these measurements are, but that gives me an idea of why it suddenly shrinks whenever I hit print size. But let's look at actual pixels. Okay, so I can zoom in and I can see the actual pixels here. I can hit fit screen and it's going to show me an image similar to how it looked when I opened it. I can go fill screen, but I think one of the most useful is the actual print screen here. The print size. Print size is going to be great for looking at images and finding out generally how big is it going to be. Do I need to downsize? Do I need to, what am I dealing with here? So that's a general way to look at it, but let's go up and be specific. Let's go up to image and down to image size, and we'll look at the information here. I know from before that it is 468 kilobytes. Now this information at the top is going to be very useful if I'm working with web, because this will tell me exactly how many pixels wide and how many tall that I have to work with. So I've got 400 and 400 here, so that's going to give me an idea based on what I'm working with on the web. That's going to be really useful. And I can also change that from pixels to percent if that would be more useful. Normally we would just leave it with pixels. When I come down to the document size here, this is the information that I was looking for, dealing with my document. So I've got resolution at 300 right now, which is going to be 300 or 360 is going to be the ideal for print. And I've got 1.33 here and 1.33, so I know that I've got my square image and I can see how big it's going to be at print size. So let's change that. Let's say that we do want to use it on the web. So I'm going to first click resample image here, and I'm going to highlight this bottom number for resolution, and let's say we want to make it 96. We're going to use it on the web. And then I'm going to check this box so that way I'm sort of locking in that 96 for my resolution. I can also see that all of a sudden my width and my height got a lot larger. I'm not losing information and I'm not gaining information, I'm just rearranging the information. So I can lower my resolution and increase my file size and not lose or gain anything. So let's watch that one more time by going backwards. So I'm going to type in 300 and all of a sudden my file shrinks again. Now if I have this unchecked right here, constrain proportions, and let's say that I want to increase my file size. This is not ideal. We don't ever really want to do this if we can avoid it, because what happens is the computer makes up information that's not really there and the quality of our image degrades. So I've highlighted this top value and I'm going to type in 4. You can see that obviously the height didn't change, so my image is not going to look proportional like it did before. I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to uncheck resample, and all of a sudden these values are reset. So in an ideal situation, what you're going to do is make sure these top two boxes are checked. All of a sudden you're going to uncheck the resample, highlight this value, and then change it, and then click resample again. Now if all of a sudden I decide, you know what, I need this image to be smaller, it's not going to fit in the space that I need, then what I can do is I can hit 2 here, or whatever value I need, and it's automatically going to change the bottom value for the height. So something else I want to point out when you are making these changes, when you are increasing the file size or when you are decreasing the file size, you'll need to pick the appropriate smoother. So for example, since I just decreased it here, what I need to do is set the bicubic sharper for the best for reduction. So since I'm reducing the size, I need to choose the best for reduction. And that also goes the same for enlarging it. I need to choose this if I were making the image bigger. So since we're making it smaller here, I'm going to leave it for reduction. And I also want to point out that it says that I'm now changing the file size from 100, it was 468, and I'm making it 108. So this tells me that I am reducing it, I truly am, and this is saving me some space. If that's what I needed to do with my image, I would get that added benefit. But those are the basics of working with image size, and I am going to hit OK here just to show you that that does get smaller. And these are the basics of working with resolution and image size.